and show you what he's been taught. So today's October 3rd, 2013. He's ready to go. He's done really, really well. Basically, the training program can be broken into 4 main areas. There's manners, obedience commands, and house training and leash training. The house training and leash training by far take up the bulk of the time that goes into his training, but most of what you're going to see here in this demonstration is going to be his manners and his obedience commands. We're going to start with manners. Some of his manners are placed on command, but not all of them are. A lot of them are simply behaviors that he's been taught. For one thing, he's been taught not to jump. We want him to stay on all 4s when he's around us. Good boy, that's a good puppy, huh? And make sure that you always be careful to give him attention when he's staying on all 4s so he doesn't learn to jump up to get your attention. A lot of times it's the other way around. People ignore their dogs when they're down low and behaving, and they don't get the attention until they actually jump up. So another one of his behaviors is sitting for greeting. If you saw when he came to me and we made eye contact, when he doesn't know what else to do, I want him to just sit as a default behavior. Good boy, that's a good puppy, huh? This does a couple of things for us. Number one, it plants him in one place so he's not moving all around and he can pay attention. And for another thing, when his hind end goes down, his eyes come up and he's looking to you and he's ready to take direction from you and hear what you have to tell him next. Hi, buddy. Good boy, huh? So, yeah, he's done really, really well with manners. Another part of his manner training is he's been taught to be very, very gentle with his mouth and his teeth. And he needs to be very conscious of where the food ends and your fingers begin. And he's capable of doing that and done really, really well. If he does get tempted to bite, or if he's competing for something, or there's something really delicious in your hands, just say gently and hang on to whatever it is until he stops using his teeth and starts using his lips and his tongue to get that out of your hand instead of his teeth, and is very, very gentle. Another one of his manners are his mealtime manners. So he's been taught, instead of having him jumping all around ready for dinner, that when you feed him, ask for a sit, stay, and he's not allowed to eat until you've given him a verbal release to eat. Stay. Nope. Sit. Stay. Okay. Good boy. There's a couple things I want to touch on with that. For one, this is kind of the basis of the program, is we're really trying to replace physical control, like physically trying to hold the food away from him, with verbal control. You saw that we had complete verbal control over him, and he wasn't released, or he didn't come and eat his food until he was released by verbal command. Another thing is off. Good boy. Another thing that we're trying to do there is I really want to emphasize the change in my voice fluctuation. And dogs pay a lot of attention to that. They pay a lot more attention to how you say things than they do what you're actually saying and the words that you actually use. So you'll notice when I asked for a stay, I did it kind of in an authoritative, commanding voice. I said stay. And then that's when I want him to contain himself and control himself. And then when I want movement and action and animation out of him, then I use a high chipper tone of voice. Stay. Sit. Stay. Okay. Good boy. So like when I give him his release and I say, okay, I do it in a really high pitch, kind of a chipper tone of voice. And that gets action and animation out of him. And he's taken commands from children, adults, men, women, so it's not so much dependent on who you are or how you sound, but they'll get to know you specifically, and they'll get to know how you use your voice fluctuations. So go ahead and use that. Good boy. Yeah, that's a good boy. So another manner that he's been taught is doorway manners. And this is another thing I want to touch on while we're right here. There's 5 things that most people do naturally with their dogs several times a day, every day, when they're very motivated and they're very focused. And an acronym that I use to help me remember is All Good Dogs Fetch Toys. And that stands for AGDFT. Attention, gates and doorways, food, no. Gates and doorways, food and toys. So these are 5 things that you give your dog naturally several times a day. And don't ever give these things away for free. Go ahead and ask for obedience and ask for him to check in with you and have that verbal control before he's allowed to have any of those things. And that's really going to contribute to your relationship with him, and it's really going to contribute to your bond. Some people kind of feel like that's a little militaristic, a kind of extreme, to have their dog checking in with you all the time with obedience for all those simple things. But actually, the way dogs are designed, they kind of have a pack mentality, and they really like the security of knowing who's in charge. And so when you're giving them commands on a regular basis and during your routine times of the day, good boy, it really confirms in their mind that you're in charge. Pack leaders within dog packs and dog groups, they'll control movement, they'll control resources, they'll control food. And so this is a role that you need to take on. And this gives them a lot of security. They really like that. If that's missing, then they tend to feel insecure. Good boy. And they may even try to take that role on themselves. So I'll go ahead and show you his doorway manners. So just like with the food and everything else, he's expected to hold a stay and not bust through the doors or gates or anything else until he's released with a verbal release. And this is really important for large breed dogs especially, because large breed dogs can get in the habit of busting out through a door past you. They get really excited to go outside, and especially when there's little kids and stuff around, it becomes a dangerous habit, knocking somebody down, going out the door. You want to go outside? You want to go outside? Stay. Stay. Okay. Good boy. Hey, want to come in? Stay. Okay. Good boy. Yes, that's very good. So that pretty much covers it for his manners. Let's go ahead and go on to the obedience commands. So we're going to show you come, sit, stay, down, down, stay, crate, drop it, watch me, and go to bed. You'll probably notice through the training demonstration that I use a lot of little treats and a lot of little tidbits, a lot of rewards. And this training program up to this point has been very heavily dependent on rewards. We use a lot of food rewards just because it's very convenient, very easy, very highly motivating. Food is one of the 3 primary motivators for dogs. And for the first couple of years that I was training, I really kind of struggled with that because I noticed that when I had food on me, the dogs were very attentive. When I didn't have food on me, they would kind of ignore me, and I felt like they were getting kind of treat spoiled. But what I found taking dogs up through advanced obedience is that the more consistent you are at using some kind of a very valuable reward as much as possible for obedience during about the first 8 months to a year, that more easily you can transition out of it at that point. And what happens is you make it worth it for them every single time as much as possible. And then after about 8 months to a year, they've done that so many times that you kind of drive those behaviors into automatic behaviors. It kind of becomes like a muscle memory thing. And it gets to the point that when you give a command, off. Good boy. When you give a command, their body will respond before their mind has even had a chance to think about it. In contrast, if you're not consistent at using some kind of a valuable reward, and we don't always use treats, a lot of times, very often, I use toys as motivators. You know, getting through a door is very motivating. Attention is very motivating. Sit. Good boy. But if you're not consistent with giving a reward every time, then they do start to learn to think about it every time. When you give a command, they think, is it going to be worth it or is it not? And they do kind of start to learn to to develop that on-off switch. So it's really, really an investment of your time to make it worth their while until those behaviors are driven into the automatic behaviors. My personal dog is about 5 now, and he gets a food reward. Good boy. You go outside, huh? You go outside? Oh, just a minute. So my personal dog, he's about 5 years old, and he gets a food reward for obedience maybe once a week anymore. But he still does what I ask him to do the first time, every time, just because he knows that that's just what we do. So that'll be very worthwhile for you to keep up with. Come. Sit. Good boy. There's 3 hand signals that he knows. The first is a sit, just a little scoop up over the nose like that. Sit. Stay. The second is a stay. You just make a stop sign with your hand, just like that. Stay. Okay. Good boy. That's a good boy, huh? Okay. I'm gonna steal your bed here. I'm gonna steal your bed. The third hand signal, good boy, is a down. You just make your hand flat like this and take it all the way to the floor. Down. Okay. Good boy. Stay. Nope. Come on. And if he breaks a stay like that, he broke just before I was going to release him. And they learn your body language. They kind of learn what you're going to do just before you release him. And then that's kind of funny, they pick up on that. But if he ever breaks a stay or makes a mistake like that, simply say, no, bring him back to where they were, and put him back down into the position that you want him in. Good. Stay. Just ask him to do it again. Down. Down. Good. Stay. Stay. Okay. Good boy. Yeah, that's good. And you may have to, when you follow up like that, you may have to give him a couple of fast, shorter stays to build up his confidence again, and then ask for another nice long stay. The down stay is a really, really handy command. That can eventually replace the crate as a place to kind of contain him, where he'll contain himself on his bed. It's really handy when you've got visitors that don't necessarily want the dog around their feet or something. You can just send him to his bed and stay there. And you may have noticed, while we've just been doing this training demonstration, he's really kind of magnetized to his bed. When he wants to just sit down or relax or do something, he'll kind of go to the bed and he'll lay down on it to do that. And we've really tried to reinforce that with him and get him to go to his bed and lay down on his bed. Watch me. Okay. So that he knows that that's his spot and he's comfortable on his spot. So what I really recommend that you do in your home, if you have a natural downtime during the day when your family like reads or watches a show or something, that you have a bed next to you and you have sticks lay down on the bed and do an extended down stay. And go ahead and have a leash attached, like a 4 or 5 foot leash, so that you can correct him if he tries to get up and walk off the bed. But you can easily get him doing hour, 2 hour long down stays within his first year, just by building that up every day. First have him do a couple minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half hour stays, so that he learns to just really relax and stay put on his bed. So, yeah. want him to go completely in, all the way in, and turn around, and then take a reward from my hand, so he doesn't learn to just kind of go halfway in and then back out really fast. He has spent a lot of time in his crate, getting used to his crate, getting to learn to love his crate. We always give him something very rewarding and enjoyable to do in his crate, like a bone to chew, or a nylon bone, or a bully stick, or something like that, to make it enjoyable. And the crate is a really handy tool. It just prevents a lot of things. It prevents a lot of drama, a lot of destruction, house training problems. It's just kind of a no-brainer. If you need to go somewhere, you know, run out of the house for a little while, you got to take your eyes off him. You need him to be out from underfoot while you're eating dinner, whatever. Just put him in his crate, and he'll relax. You know, give him a bone, or give him something to do while he's in there, and he'll really learn to love his crate. And you know, we as humans, we have a claustrophobic instinct where we get kind of nervous and feel cramped in tight spaces, and so it's unnatural for us to want to put our dogs in a crate. But dogs are actually complete opposite. They have a denning instinct where they feel very safe and secure in a crate. So a good rule that I recommend, especially families with children, is that if their dog goes into the crate on his own and just lays down, that he's off limits until he comes out again. We just need to give him his downtime, because we all kind of need our downtime and our personal space, and that's where he can go to have his time. So make sure you make good use of the crate. It's really, really handy, a handy tool to use. Stay. Okay. Okay, good boy. Yeah. So drop it. He's been taught to release things on command, and you want to make sure that you never just actually pull something out of his teeth. You want him to actually open his mouth and release it to you. Good boy, good boy. Gonna take it to your bed, huh? Drop it. Good boy. So you don't ever want to have to be pulling things out of his mouth, and that can be harmful to their teeth and stuff. And plus it can teach him to tug of war. So just ask him to release something when you're ready for him to release it, and he'll open his mouth and release it to you. Come! Good boy. Okay. Go to bed. Okay, good boy. So with the command, go to bed, I don't care what position he's in. I don't care if he's standing, sitting, or lying down. I just want him to be completely on his bed. Go to bed. Good boy. Okay. I want him to be completely on his bed, and I want him to stay there until he's released with a verbal release. Okay. Good boy. So yeah, we talked about the benefits of the bed and how to use that a little bit before. So we've covered come, sit, stay, down, stay, crate, drop it, watch me, and go to bed. I haven't talked about watch me. Watch me. Okay, good boy. So watch me. The way dogs are designed, they're not capable of multitasking like we are. We can be looking at one thing and be thinking about something completely different. They're not capable of that. Whatever they're looking at is 100% what they're thinking about. So if you can get their eyes, you have them. You may only have them for a split second, but you have them. And so it essentially lets you distract them from a distraction. And it can really be a life-saving command. Like if he's running out into traffic, if he's chasing a cat, if you drop something on the floor and he's headed after it, all you're looking for, watch me, is eye contact. You want him to snap up and look at you. And then it allows you to do whatever you need to do, either pick up the thing on the floor or bring them to you or whatever. But it's very easy to drive that behavior into his automatic behaviors, because it's so easy for them to do. And I really highly recommend that you continue to practice this one several times a day, and always have a very valuable reward for following through, so that he doesn't ever fail on that command. And we kind of use that to replace using their name. We don't use their name in training because we don't know if that's going to eventually be their permanent name or not. But we will, it's not always convenient to have a treat or reward on hand when you use their name, and we use their name so often. So we do want to have a command that, you know, it is a crisis if they ever don't follow through. So they follow through every single time without fail. Yeah, so let me go over our leash training a little bit. There's a couple different types of walks that we take the puppies on. If we're taking them, if we need to take them out to like get from point A to point B, we'll use a 4 or 5 foot leash like this. And we want them to stay with us and to pay attention to us. I don't allow them to stop and sniff. I don't allow them to check stuff out or just kind of meander. I don't stress what side I want them on. I don't, you know, specify left or right or anything like that. I just want them to maintain this J, this slack in the leash. I want them to be responsive to my verbal commands, and I want them to stay with me and change directions with me. And when I stop, I want them to sit automatically. So there's 2 commands associated with this kind of a short leash walk. When I want him to go, I say, let's go. And then when I want him to, if he pulls and he's trying to pull ahead, I stop. I just absolutely stop in my tracks and I say easy, and I wait for him to put slack back in the leash and pay attention to me again. Ready? Let's go. All right. Okay, let's go. You can see he's paying attention. He's walking by my side. Let's go. Changing directions when I change directions. And then when I stop, and if he forgets, go ahead and give him the hand signal for it. Good boy. I want him to sit whenever I stop so that he's focused and he's planted and he's paying attention to me and not just kind of all over the place. Good boy. When I do want to take him out for a walk that's kind of for his pleasure, I'll use usually a longer leash, like a 10 or 15 foot leash. You don't necessarily have to use a really long leash, but I would recommend using a longer leash than this, and I'd recommend that you use a different leash every time. And if you can do that, if you can have his you know, attention walking leash and his just for pleasure walking leash, then he'll know. He'll get to learn the difference, and he'll know that there's differences in expectations. And then when I take him out for that kind of a leash, I just kind of let him sniff and I let him roam, and I don't stress paying attention too much. Or I'll take him out to where there's no traffic or in a park or something and do an off-leash walk. And have him come in and check in with me about every 30 seconds to a minute and just take a treat from my hand and just call come or watch me. And they learn to check in and stay close. Watch me. Okay, good boy. Yes. So he has also been taught a short heel. And with heel, I start him out on my left side. I start him in a sitting position. Good boy. And heel takes a lot of attention. It's kind of exhaustive to do for a puppy, so it's still very short and you'll need to build it up in duration. But that's to get you past very intense distractions, like another dog or something else. And always put yourself between the dog and the distraction. Like I said before, at least for the first little while, use a lot of treats or a lot of something that'll keep it and hold his attention. And you just want him absolutely focused on you, glued on you. Sit. And you just heel for a few steps at a time, and then when you stop, you ask for a sit. So he's always doing something to pay attention to you. You're not giving him free rein to do whatever else it is he's doing. Ready? Heel. Good. Sit. Sit. Come on. Okay. Heel. Good boy. Good boy. Sit. Okay. Heel. Sit. Sit. Okay, good boy. Yeah. Yeah, that was a little slow. He was a little distracted, but that's the basic concept of the heel, and it works really, really well. Good boy. And the last portion of the training is the house training. And he spent a lot of time house training. And what basically the standard that we've taught him is to be reliable for up to 2 hours in the house. then to go touch a bell that we have hanging on the door with his nose to let us know that he needs to go outside. And then when he does need to go to the bathroom, then we take him on a leash to a very specific spot every single time in the yard. That kind of becomes his toilet area. And then we just, and it's important that when you take him out there, that you completely ignore everything that he does. You don't engage him at all. Don't make eye contact. Don't give him rewards for, you know, whatever, sitting or staying or paying attention to you. Just take him straight to the potty spot and ignore him so he knows to get right down to business. And then as soon as he does go to the bathroom, then give him his reward and tell him get outside. And then you can play and do whatever else it is he wants to do. So he's done really well with his house training. He's learned where the bell is here at this house. He's going to need to relearn where the bell is at your house. And the way to do that is, when he's not looking, hang the bell on the door that you're going to be using most often to take him outside. And rub something on it that smells good, like some peanut butter or some bacon grease. Just a little tiny bit will catch his nose. And then just be prepared and wait for him to sniff that out on his own. And when he touches it, and when he initially touches it, he's probably not going to be ringing the bell. He'll probably just be sniffing the yummy whatever. But when he touches it, go ahead and make a big fuss and have a reward handy and say, "Go outside. You want to go outside?" And then take him outside to go to the bathroom to that specific place. And routine is really, really critical with getting his house training transferred to your house and to your family's routine. So the more routine you can be about that, you know, every 2 hours, and we actually set alarms to remind us to take him out for a potty break. And you can do that if you want. You don't necessarily have to, but just kind of as a tip, the more scheduled and routine you are about his habits, the easier it'll be for him to transition that. So, yeah, and he's been taught to sleep in the crate through the night for 8 full hours without needing a potty break. And he's done really well with that. So, yeah, that pretty much covers the training that he's had. He's done really, really well. He's got a great personality. I think you're going to love him. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact Susan at North Star Goldens. And thanks.